Hello, you reached Manesh Patel from the EII Capital Group. Today's video we're going to go through pretty much talking about the Ichimoku heat map and the scanner that's available on our website here at ichimokutrade.com. If you look at the screen, this is basically the main screen that you get when you go to ichimokutrade.com. It's best to actually view the heat map and the scanner in either Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox with Internet Explorer, depending on what versions you may run into some issues, especially with some legacy Internet Explorers. So I find Google Chrome is probably the best browser to use since it's light and pretty much gets the job done. Anyways, so if you look here, first thing you have to do is log in. If you don't have a login ID, you can register for free. Just click on register and it will be able to get you in. So what I'm going to do is just going to log in here and oops. Okay. And the very first screen that you're probably going to get may be a little different from mine. You may not get all this information. If that's the case, you need to upgrade your account. There'll probably be an upgrade button here, or what you could do is go to settings, and then you could go in and basically upgrade to the 30-day free trial or the 2-week free trial. And that's available there, whatever the trial period is. Just click on that and then you'll get all full functionality with the heat map that's going on. If you look at the heat map, the main table, the home page as we call it, is here. In the home page you got a couple of things that's going on here. Okay, first you got this tab environment there. If you scroll down, you can see all kinds of other information here too. Some of this information will change with time, but we're going to go for each piece of information as we go through this. Okay, just to let you know that through your browser, you could hold down the control plus or minus key, now allow you to enlarge or decrease the browser. So you could zoom in, zoom out, and stuff like that. So right now, if you zoom out, you pretty much get this whole view here. I'm going to zoom in because the recording, I wanted to amplify this and so forth. So very first thing we're going to do is go for these different tabs and explain the various things that are there. Okay, so the very first tab you have is the heat map. This is pretty much where we have our rating system here. And if you click on this drop down button here right next to the word heat map, there's various heat maps that are available. Okay, now first thing I want to do is excuse me, go through the currency heat map rating. The same rating system that works here in the currencies also works for the futures, for the stocks, and stuff like that. Okay, so the basic philosophy here is we've got 10-minute time frames, 30-minute, 60 minutes, 120, 240, daily, and weekly. Okay, so we try to cater to all the different people out there. Uh, all the people out there. So those are the time frames that are available moving forward. That should basically cover the day traders out there from 10-minute time frame all the way to long-term traders on retirement accounts to weekly time frame. Okay, now we have a color code system here. It's pretty simple. Basically, if it's red, that means it's bearish. That means you're betting on it going down. Green basically means it's bullish, that you're betting on it going up. Yellow, here, what this means, yellow is the letters in here are yellow, and what that means is it's possibly overextended. That means if it's red, like here in this scenario here, and the letter is yellow, that means basically it's oversold. Too many people have sold, and it's probably too late to get into it now. You got to wait for this color to go back to black, the letter to go back to black, in order for you to start even looking at opportunities to sell. On the bullish side, you'll see here this 5 is in the yellow instead of a black. That basically means it's overbought. Too many people have bought. It's way overextended, so you need to wait for price to come down in order for it to even look at it. When price does come down and equalize, this number will basically go back to a black color. Okay, so that basically explains the color code system. Now, the way the number system works is that if you're a trend trader, you should be basically looking for 2s and 4s. Okay, and then so 2s and 4s and 5s after a consolidation period. So 2s, 4s, and 5 are basically trend strategies, where 5 is more towards after it's consolidated for a little while. Okay, so the main trend strategies are 2 and 4, and then a 5 again is after a consolidation period, just for the 5 part. Okay, if you're a counter trend trader, then you need to look for 1s and 3s. for opportunities. Okay, so again, counter trend is 1 and 3. For trends, you're basically looking for 2s or 5, and basically also twos and 4s, and then a 5 that's also in a consolidation pattern. Okay, so that's pretty simple. So if you look at the Australian Canadian market right here, basically if you look at it across the board, 5 basically means it's a high probability Ichimoku strategy, which is a trend strategy. You got to wait to look for a trigger after a consolidation pattern. Okay, now when you get a 2, let's give you an example here. A 2, what that's telling you is that on the chart, this is ready to be bought. Okay, and what you could do is for safe plays, what you could do is do a breakout on the last pivot high to enter this trade. Okay, if it's got a 2 negative, then you have to look for the last pivot low and then enter below that pivot low. Okay, so right now I'm just going through breakout strategies with these. So if you see a 2 or 4, or 2-4, which is a trend strategy, then you're going to sit there. If it's green, take the last pivot high, add a couple of points, and that's your entry. If you see a 2 and 4 that's red, you're going to take the last pivot low and subtract a couple of points from there, and that's your entry. So those are breakout orders. Okay, now you can sit there and do pullback orders, but the most safest thing for beginning people is the breakout orders, because momentum's on your side. If you don't know what I'm talking about between breakout and pullbacks, you can watch one of our videos under the education section, and they'll cover all that there. Okay. I think we've covered everything here. If you're a counter trend trader, then of course you're going to be looking for 1s and 3s and start looking for the opposite. So right now, even though it says green here, you're going to be looking for it to pretty much start. A counter trend means you're going to look for it to go bearish on that green play. So whatever that color is, that's the opposite that you're going to be looking for on there. Now, on some of these heat maps, especially the currency one, you do have the ability to do more filtering, either down to currencies. So let's just say I just want to look at all the US denominated currencies. You could look here, and then you could also choose a time frame. So let's just say I'm interested only in daily time frame. And then if you look here, you could see which ones are bullish and bearish based on the daily time frame compared to the dollar. So if you look right here, basically the Australian USD is basically a 2, the Euro USD is a 5, and hello, this is Minesh Patel from EIX. It's the last video that we record on a weekly basis. Okay, so prove some of the Ichimoku strategy in the Ichimoku world is called the Cajun sit. Okay, so the very first strategy you're going to have is where price is trending, then all of a sudden it crosses this green line. That Hello, you reached Manesh Patel from the EII Capital Group. Today's video is basically going to be going through the website ichimokutrade.com and all the services that it offers, from the heat map to the scanner and so forth. Okay, so if you go to ichimokutrade.com, or you could go to eiicapital.com, you'll pretty much to be taken to this screen here. The very first thing you need to do is, before you could access anything, is to go ahead and log in. If you don't have a username and ID, you can register for free by just clicking on there. But let's go ahead and log in, and that way we could go ahead and get started. There's a lot of information here. Again, after I log in, it'll take you to the screen here. If you don't see it exactly here, you could click on the settings, or there's going to be a word here called free trial. Just click on that free trial, or click on settings and sign up for the free trial, and that'll enable everything for you, so you could go for the evaluation period on that. But basically, this is what the screen would look like. Now, I'm looking at this in basically Google Chrome browser. We also support Mozilla Firefox. Some versions of Internet Explorer will work, some won't. It's just due to a lot of changes within Internet Explorer. So my best advice is to go through the website through either Google Chrome or Mozilla. I personally use Google Chrome because it's easier and it's very light. You never have any issues with Google Chrome. So we're going to be showing Google Chrome to you today. One thing, if you haven't noticed in browsers, you could hold down the control key, press the plus or minus, and that'll basically enlarge or decrease the screen. So you have that's available there for you. So if I press control plus, you can see it enlarges the screen drastically. If I press control negative, then it basically shrinks the screen down. Okay. Now, right now I'm going to keep it in this view. When we go to certain parts of the website, we'll go ahead and enlarge it so you can see all the information there. Now, we basically have a couple of sections in the home page. This is the home page. This is basically a title bar. We could go to home, about us, testimonials, education, blog, forum, and wiki. These last three are basically our websites that we have on top of Ichimoku Trade that's available. Blog, that's where we're going to be sitting there starting off beginning of January 2012. Going to start actually blogging some trades before they actually happen. Forum is our Kumo Trader forum that's been around for years, and Wiki, which is basically a wiki on Ichimoku, where you can find information about all the indicators and all the strategies and stuff like that. If you're a beginning Ichimoku student, that's probably the best place to go to sit there and look through everything and get all that information. The next information you have is this tab form here. This is where all the information is kept. You found this video by clicking on help, and inside there is basically this video on how to use the heat map scanner and other resources on the website. If you click on videos, this is where all our other videos are available, and we will be adding more with time. Also, if you want to see more than what's here, you could go to the education section, and that has videos there available, along with other pieces of information, just in case if you're having trouble trying to play a video or something like that. You could go here, or you could access if you bought our book, you could access the graphics and stuff like that here in the education section. Okay. Under the tablet, you basically have 5 main sections. We've already gone for the help and the video. Market Outlook basically gives you our weekly outlook of all 3 markets, which is basically the Forex market, currency market here, the futures market, and then also the stock market here. Okay. These are posted on YouTube, so just like YouTube, you could click on play, you can enlarge the screens by clicking on there and so forth, but you get a weekly idea of all the markets and everything in terms of Ichimoku, so you could get an accurate view there. The current market views are here. Once you go to there and you go to YouTube, you could access the archive videos of the previous weeks and so forth, going back for like a year to 2 years and so forth. Next is you're going to see the Ichimoku scanner for the stock side. Okay, we do have heat maps available for the stocks, but we do have a scanner here that will scan over 7,000 instruments for potential opportunities for you based on Ichimoku strategies, and we'll go for that in a minute. And then lastly, this is the key part. We have our Ichimoku heat map, and we'll go for our rating system in a minute too. If you scroll downwards, you'll have more information here. This is our Twitter. This access our Twitter, which is Ichimoku Trading. You can see all our tweets here that are available. Okay. Also, if you haven't bought our book, you could access our book here from here to purchase it, which goes straight to Amazon. And then lastly, what we have is our stock sentiment graphs. And if you look here, we have a daily and a weekly, and we'll explain this in a minute. But based on the strategies here, you could click on the strategies here, and you could see based on red and green how many stocks out of 7,000 instruments are breaking out of the cloud and so forth. So number 3 basically means we're breaking out of the cloud, which the sentiment has changed. Okay, in that strategy, you could see that this week, 12/28, basically beginning of this week, yesterday, there were 42 instruments that basically broke out of the cloud. They changed sentiments to the bearish side, and there were only 7 that basically baked to the bullish side. So you could see that there's more instruments changing sentiments to the bullish side than bearish on a daily. Okay, if you look at the weekly, remember, this looks at everything at the end of close on Friday. So if you look at last Friday, you could see that there were basically 22 instruments that broke to the downside, change segments on the weekly time frame, and there were 77 to the top side. And if you look at the overall pattern, we're kind of neutral right now. We're not much or more or anything like that at all. So you could see that we're kind of consolidating right now, where we're not committing more towards the bulls or bears. So this kind of gives you an idea of where the stock market's going, how many instruments are breaking to the bullish side, how many instruments are breaking to the bearish side, which is basically strategy 3, and you could see that here. Okay, now you could click on the other strategies here, but those are basically, I would keep it on 3, and that kind of gives you a good idea of the market and where it's going as far as the stock market's concerned. So this could tell you exactly, last week there was nothing really going on, and if you look on a daily basis, you can see that there's more and more opportunities to the bearish side than to the bullish side right now. Okay, and remember, this goes for over 7,000 instruments out there. We do filter down to average volume, 60-day volume of 1 million and plus and so forth. Okay, so we basically have gone for everything now. The only thing we have to go through is basically the heat map and the scanner. Now, before we go for the heat map, I want to pull up a chart here, and this kind of shows you Ichimoku chart. If you don't know much about Ichimoku, all you have to do is go to the video section here, click on videos, and at that point you'll be basically brought to these 4 videos here. Click on this one which says Ichimoku 101. If you click on that, that basically show you what Ichimoku is all about. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to come back here, and we're going to look at this chart. So if you look in this scenario, this was a downward trend. Okay, so this was a downward trend that's going on. In here, a downward trend. Okay, now when the strategies first start off, you have strategies that go for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ignore the 6. Pretty much that's a color code now, so just ignore that 6 there completely. Okay, so in this scenario, what happens is, remember, a number 1 is the beginning of a strategy. Okay, so if this was going down, a number 1 is going to be the very first time where you're going to have an opportunity. Okay, so number 1 is basically where it crosses. If you know Ichimoku, this is where it's going to cross the green line, which is a Kijun cross strategy. Okay, so this is a counter trend here. Okay, now when it crosses the green line, even though it's the trend is being downward, it's crossed that green line. It doesn't mean you start betting on it going up. Okay, until you get a number 2, you still do not start on betting it going up. A number 1 is basically a counter trend where you're still looking at opportunities to go short in a scenario. Okay, so when you see a 1 that's a green, 1 basically means it's a counter trend. So if it's green, you're going to be looking at opportunities to go short. Okay, so you could apply your strategy to here and start looking for opportunities to go short. Okay, when you start getting a number 2, okay, which is what you call a cadencing cross with a confirmation, and that's when it's a trend strategy to the bullish side in this scenario. Here, that's when you could start looking for it to go bullish. And what we tell our students is that, especially if you're beginning students, what you should do is look at breakout trades. So if you get a 2, which will be somewhere right down here, and let's zoom in, somewhere right here in this green color bar right there, what you do is when you get a 2 on the heat map, find the last pivot high, which is here, and a couple of points above that, put your entry order. And that's basically how you do the breakout orders. You're always going to do breakout orders based on the last pivot high or past pivot low. For bullish, it'll be last pivot high plus a couple of points for entry to go to betting on it going long. For bearish, it's going to be the last pivot low minus a couple of points to go bet on it going short. Okay, so again, number 1 is counter trend. So you're gonna, even though it's going up, you're gonna start looking for opportunities to it go down, and you want to bet on it going down. Okay, so you're gonna go opposite of whatever the color is gonna be in a minute that you're gonna see. When you start seeing a 2, whatever the color is, if it's green, you're gonna be betting on it going up. If it's red, you're gonna be betting on it going down. Okay. Then you get a 3. A 3 is basically a breakout of the cloud. Now 3, as you could see here, is basically a counter trend strategy. Okay, and in here 3 is it says trend, but that's counter trend. So when you get a 3, you're not going to look at it going bullish, whatever the same color is. You're going to start looking for opportunities to go the other way. Okay, and then when you get a 4 is more towards the trend strategies, where basically you're going to start looking for it to go bullish. So let me summarize again. 2s and 4s are more trend strategies where you trade the same color that you're going to get on a chart. So if the chart gives you a green, we'll show you in the heat map chart. If it shows you a green, you're going to be betting on it going bullish. If it gives you a red, you're going to be betting on it going bearish. And all you have to do is find the last pivot and then basically put an order above or below that based on if you're going bullish. In this scenario for this 4, the pivot here was there. A couple of points above that would be entry, and you would have been entering in here. Okay. And then 5 is basically a high probability strategy, which is basically the meat of the highest probability strategy here, and that's a trend strategy too. And this basically allows you, if you look here in parentheses, allows you to get the Elliott wave 2 to 3 pattern, which is the institutional wave there. Okay, so let me again re-stress this. Okay, 1 and 3s are counter trend. We have limited profits. 2s, 4s, and 5s are more trend strategies where you have unlimited number of profit. Okay, now if we go and take this philosophy and come here to the heat map, and let me enlarge it by pressing Control plus. Okay, you have a color code system here. Okay, red basically means that you're going to be betting on it going down. Green basically means you're going to be betting on it going up. Okay, and then if you get a yellow for the letters, that means it's overextended. So if yours red and yellow, as this one is here, what that basically means, let me enlarge it some more. What this basically means that this we're betting on it going down, but if we have not entered, it's too late because it's overextended. It means too many people have already sold this, and it's too late to sell it. Okay? If you get a green that's yellow here, like this one, then that basically means it's overbought. Too many people have bought to a point you can't get in now. You have to wait for it to come back down to normal, and when it does, this will go back to black. Okay, so again, red means basically you're going to be betting on it going down. Green basically means you're going to be betting on it going up. Okay, and if you look here, remember, 2s and 4s are trend strategies. Okay, 1s and 3s are counter trend. If you're a beginning trader or using the heat map for the first time, I would really could just concentrate on 2s and 4s, nothing else. Okay, so I would not look at even 5s. Okay, because 5 is more high probability. 2s and 4s allow you to get in early, at the very beginning of the trend, whereas 5 may be a trend's already happened, it decides to consolidate and then continue. So a little more riskier in the 5s, but 2s and 4s are the beginning of the trend where you have your highest probability of success. Okay, and over here, if you look for this on the 240 minute, this gives you a 4. So this is basically a cloud breakout strategy if you know Ichimoku. So that's basically means you could bet on this going down. The 2 basically means you could bet on it going down too. Okay. So this is how the overall system works. 2, a 0, and a white means there's nothing at all. Okay. So that's pretty simple there. One other thing you can do is, let's say you're doing multiple time frame analysis. Okay, if you're doing multiple time frame analysis, and let's say you're looking at daily and weekly, okay, what you could do here, let me scroll down, is if you're doing a multiple time frame analysis scenario, what you could do is on your trading time frame, let's say, which is the daily here, which is 2s, you're going to look for 2s and 4s, and then what you want to do is also on the weekly time frame, you want to make sure it's the same color, and then also it has a strategy that's going on, which is a 2, 4, or 5 for trend. Okay, now I included 5 because remember 5 is a trend too. Okay, so I included 2. So what you're going to be basically doing on the daily time frame is looking for 2s and 4s, and on the higher time frame you're going to look for 2s, 4s, and 5. When you do that, that's a 2 time frame scenario. Okay, if they're both green, it's a 2 time frame buy scenario. If it's red, it's a 2 time frame sell scenario. Okay, so those increase the probability of success, but remember, you're going to get less trades. So if you're looking today, Australian CAD had bullish opportunity. Okay, this is a yellow green, which is definitely not what I'm looking for. This is a 4 green, but then the weekly's 5, so there's nothing there. So I'm going to keep on going down this list, and there's another one here, which if you put your mouse over it, that's pound Australian. Okay, so we have pound Australian, so we have Australian CAD and pound Australian, and this one was bullish, so betting on the Australian getting strong, and this is basically, this is pound Australian, where we're betting on Australian getting strong compared to the pound. So both scenarios where we're betting on Australia to be strong. Okay, if you keep on scrolling down, there's no opportunity as of yet in anything else. This is a yellow, so that can't be viewed. And if you keep on scrolling down, you'll see that there's no other opportunities. So basically in this whole Ichimoku chart, if you look into 2 time frame scenarios, there was only Australian CAD and pound CAD as 2 opportunities. I think it was pound Australian. Sorry, pound Australian are only the 2 currencies that are available out there to trade. Okay, and at that point, remember, they're potentially ready to trade. You got to place a breakout order on them for price to come to you instead of you going chasing the market. So don't sit there and just place an order based on this. You got to wait for a price confirmation for those opportunities. But those are the only 2 opportunities in regards to the trading time frame is daily, and your higher time frame is weekly. Okay, now we've been talking about currencies. Don't worry, we're going to talk about stocks and futures too in a minute. Okay, so if you look at this scenario, this is for currencies. Now, one thing with currencies, you do have the ability to filter down. So if you just want to look at Australian pairs, you can. If you just want to look at daily time frames, you can. If you just want to look at a certain rating, you can too. Okay, now over here, let's go over the futures. On future side over here, you have the same thing here. Okay, so if you look at all the futures and look at daily, weekly scenarios, you're going to have an opportunity here. And if you look at it, it's crude oil. Okay, so you got a bullish opportunity on crude oil right now on the daily, weekly. You got a opportunity on the DJX on the futures. Okay, so that's 2. You got an opportunity right now on live cattle. That's 3. There's an opportunity here on the NASDAQ. That's 4. There's an opportunity here on the NASDAQ futures. this is not working, that view. Okay, so that's 5. Then you got an opportunity here on E-mini crude. That's 6. 6. And if you keep on scrolling down, you'll see that's it. So 6 opportunities out there on the future side based on a 2 time frame buy or sell scenario. Okay? Remember, trend strategies, if you're a beginning user for Ichimoku or learning how to use the heat map, the best strategies to look for are trend strategies, where you're going to look for a 2 or a 4 on your trading time frame. And if you want to incorporate a higher time frame, you're going to look for a 2, 4, or 5 on a higher time frame. Counter trend traders, it's 1 and 3 on your trading time frame. Okay, that's the futures. Okay, now if you're on the stock side, you have the ability to go look at sectors, country ETFs, or Dow. Let's go look at country ETFs right now and see what we see. If you look here on the country ETFs, you can see, wow, look at this. Almost everything is bearish. The only one that's neutral is Russia, as you could see. Okay, but if you look at all these are basically bearish right now as far as the long-term picture. And you could see some of these countries are actually overextended from Germany to Belgium to Italy, as you could see. And you could see that this is reflecting what's really going on in the market worldwide. Now, if you kind of want to see what's going on outside of this, where some countries may be coming out of it, you could see that on a daily time frame, you have a bullish strategy that's trying to happen on Sweden. Okay, so that's there. And also a strategy on Mexico. So 2 countries are trying to get rid of this long-term negative rating, where there's a strategy there, are Mexico's and Sweden. So you could kind of see and start looking for these opportunities here for 1 time frame scenarios. If you want 2 time frame scenarios, you're gonna have to be patient for a very while. But if you're looking for 1 time frame scenario, you could start looking at Sweden and Mexico, maybe trying to lead something coming out of this whole big mess that's going on. But you could see that on the bearish side, Hong Kong is an opportunity right now. There's Malaysia. There is Canada to the bearish side here. Okay. There is Brazil. There's Korea. And there's emerging markets here. And then there's also, after that, China and South Africa. Scrolling down. And then lastly, the BRIC countries. So those are the ones where basically I look for 2 and 4 red on a daily, and then I also look for red without a yellow with a 2, 4, or 5 on the weekly, on daily, weekly for a 2 time frame scenario. So this could kind of give you a picture of what's going on, around the world with everything that's with the Ichimoku rating system. So you could get a high overview exactly what's going on. So that's the country ETFs. If you come down here, you could look at sectors, where this is based on the Dow Jones, different sectors available out there. And you could see the various sectors that may be sitting there pushing out forward. And if you look here down the sectors list, let's look for one. There's one here, food producers right now is bullish. There's this one here, which is support services right here. Okay, you notice I put my mouse over it because it gives me a full description. Food services, and then that's it. So we only have 2 opportunities as far as sectors on the bullish side or bearish based on a 2 time frame buy or sell scenario. Okay, and then you also have the Dow 30, which a lot of people like, especially for retirement accounts, since these have dividends and so forth behind them. And you could look for bullish and bearish opportunities here based on what we talk about. Now, if you note down here, this tells you when everything was updated. So the database was last updated at 1914. Remember, this is Eastern Standard Time here. That's always written. It should say EST. We got to do that. But the browser automatically set up for you where it refreshes every 10 minutes because the lowest time frame is 10 minutes. But basically, this database is updated every minute. In the back end, it's actually updated every tick, believe it or not. But we give you a refresher every minute or so forth here. Okay. So we've pretty much have gone for everything on the heat map. If you go to the stock scanner, This now will give you the ability to start scanning stocks for various strategies out there. Now remember, we talked about 2s and 4s being um, a trend strategy. So over here, you have the ability to pretty much do the same thing. Okay, so you could come down here. You could choose a strategy that you want to look for. Now notice in here we've got some other Ichimoku strategies here. A lot of people like to use it, which is a Tinkerton Cajunson cross strategy. We personally don't like to use that. That's why we only have 1, 2, 3, and 4, but that is available there. You also have the ability to find things that are touching the Cajunson, which is another strategy a lot of people like to look at, which is counter trend. Okay, so let's just say we're looking for a cloud breakout with confirmation. You have the ability to choose the time frames here. Okay, and then you have the ability to choose at the beginning time prices. So let's say I just want to look for stocks between $20 and $60, which are more mid-cap type of stocks, and this is 60-day average volume, and I want to filter down to 1 million shares on average 60-day volume. If you click on that, then basically this will show me all the stocks that fit my profile. And if you look, the direction tells you if it's bullish or bearish, close, and this tells you the future cloud. Okay, now the future cloud, if you want the high probability strategies, which are really not many trades but more higher probability of success, you want to make sure the future cloud is in the same direction of your direction here. So XME here, let's zoom in so people could see. So if you look at XME, this is bearish. You're going to be betting on it going down. Okay, the cloud is bearish too, so it's confirming, so that's high probability. Over here in WRE, this is basically up. This you're betting on it going up, but the cloud is bearish here, so that means you're going to have limited profit. Okay, so you got to have a profit target on this one, whereas this one's a trend where you could basically keep on going as the trend keeps on going. Okay, so whenever you see these two opposite, this is the direction you're trading. If the cloud is not in the same direction as you're going, that means you got to have a profit target of where you want to get out, because you're going to get limited profits. Okay, and this tells you exactly when the database was updated. We update at the end of each bar every day for that particular time frame. Okay, now if you believe you got everything there, if you do need to contact us, you could click on About Us. There's information here. Over here, if you scroll down, you'll see all our other locations. We do have Europe support, Asia support, and then also Canada support too. So you'll see all that information there. Let me shrink this down. You can see a picture of me there. If you go to testimonials here, you could see all the testimonials from our students and other people that are non-students here too in regards to Ichimoku. A lot of people, believe it or not, look at that free video that's available here under the home and videos, and this first one here, and they've got enough information to start running and moving forward. Okay, if you click on the education section, that'll allow you to see all the other videos too that we have available, along with some wordings and stuff like that too, and articles and all that will be in the education. And then blog, forum, and wiki, as we mentioned, will basically be our other websites that are there for resources. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask us. You can email us at info@eiicapital.com, which is pretty much right here. Thank you again, and have a nice day.